And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. I'm Vince, and I'm here with my co-host Stevie D. Stevie D, it has been a while, my friend.
It has. It
It's been a
has.
while,
It's
but
funny
now
how life just kind of
throws a
comes up with
knuckleball.
you. Oh yeah, knuckleball is a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's bouncing. But we promised we guarantee that we're going to be doing this 17 weeks.
17 weeks.
For me, it's going to be more like 2022. But you
Yeah,
know, I'm
I'll
okay if you don't want to
yeah.
be part of the.
No, I'll take 21 and I'll call that a victory. I'm not too greedy. I won't go 22, but I'll take 21.
So Stevie D, there's just so much that's going on in the NFL. You would almost think that we are back in the off season, right? We're just weeks away uh, from the actual going live, from actual kickoff, from real blood, sweat, and tears, from guys just pounding each other trying to get across that goal line. And there's so much happening. I don't know if it's because of COVID and the new rules and restrictions and the way the rosters are set for the cut down and what you can put back to the practice squad. I don't know what it is, but there's just more. It seems like now, compared to years back, that there's more moving and shaking by GMs and by coaches and by teams to get players on the rosters.
Yeah, I even think there's more trades with people, which I think is fantastic for the NFL. And I don't know if the NFL, like in an owners meeting type of scenario, the NFL said, "Hey, look, we got to get trades. We got to get more buzz around teams in the off season, getting ready for training camps because it now to me it goes faster. When I was younger, I was so impatient. The season would end, and it took forever to get to the NFL draft. Then the NFL
Right.
draft happened. It's like there's all this dead time where there was nothing, and you're just like crickets. And maybe having channels like the NFL Network, more people doing podcasts like what we do, and keeping the sport going and talking about it, that makes it go so much quicker. And I literally I can't believe we're less than 2 weeks away of the kickoff. I
So
felt like we were just covering the draft.
and if you think about it, college football, they got started right now. You had Nebraska and Illinois. Those are probably the featured names, but you had legitimate games they were playing. That was a conference game. You had high school. They kicked off,
High school,
and I see that smile.
high school.
Well, of course, ESPN wants to be front and center, right? They want to lead the charge with the high school games. And IMG Academy was on this Sunday.
Hey, they're legit. They are very legit. IMG. I mean,
And they
they're as
played
legit as they come.
they played Bishop Sycamore. You've heard of the great institution of Bishop Sycamore, haven't
Is
you?
that in South Florida? Is that up
No.
in Central Florida?
Unfortunately,
In
Stevie,
Texas?
unfortunately, I don't think we really know where Bishop Sycamore is.
So not Georgia, not Texas, not Florida.
Well, hold on. I think there was some research to see if they were in Texas or have some affiliation with a school in Texas. Let's just say that they are the enigma of high school football. We'll just call them that. So you know what happened over this weekend. I know we talked about it a little bit. Everybody may have seen the meme out there. You have a team that got its doors blown off on ESPN. Now, the whole deal with ESPN in high school ball is that they always want to have the schools that have the highest number of 5-star, 4-star players, right? Guys that you anticipate seeing the following year on Saturday in 3 to 4 years on Sunday, right? That's the hope. And so Bishop Sycamore claimed to have a roster full of 5-star recruits and 4-star recruits. That's what they said. And as they did that, ESPN with their outstanding staff, right? Because we know that they went through cuts and they did reorgs and they did all this stuff. They said, wow, this looks good. We're going to take your word for it. Right? Let's schedule Bishop Sycamore versus IMG. And
Unbelievable.
Bishop Sycamore just got its doors blown off, but it goes even deeper. I asked that everybody, right? Everybody go out to one of your sources for news and just read on the whole. We could spend a whole show on Bishop Sycamore, right? We could talk about the quarterback who has multiple profiles with multiple graduation years, right? 20 class of 2023, class of 2022, class of 2020.
He came out of college to come back home and played football.
So, we could go all over the place there. We could talk about how the fact that they played 2 games in 3 days, right? We talk about the NFL throwing somebody on a Sunday and a Thursday, right? This is the opposite end of that spectrum, right? Going from the Thursday to the Sunday.
They're young. Those kids are young. They can handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about any of that. And then we can talk about the coach, right? We can talk about the website that has nothing to show for the team. There's just so much, and it blows my mind.
How'd they get the funding to travel?
Oh, hold on. There's more. They had a GoFundMe page.
Are you kidding me? They had a GoFundMe page?
I kid you not. They had a GoFundMe page, but it's no longer. First of all, it's no longer receiving donations. Thank goodness. They were set to receive, or they had put that they were looking to receive $20,000. That's what their goal was. They fell a little short. Yeah,
how by a little?
Well, by $19,860 short.
Oh, that's like the coach putting the money in the tip jar to start the night, right? Just show that somebody's donating. Yeah, others will follow.
That's exactly it.
Oh,
everybody chip in $10, and people see that. Yeah. It just, I can't imagine. We've seen scandals, right? You've had the AAU scandals. You've had scandals with high schools. You've had scandals with universities, right? All trying to get that edge. But at least they were legitimate teams, right? That's the best that I can say. They were legitimate teams. We're talking about somebody who people are like, who, what, and where. And ESPN had the audacity to fall right into that trap. Go ahead.
I want to go from a different angle here. Like, how about the creativity of getting these kids on a map, right? Falsifying whatever you need to do. You got yourself, you got your players on TV. No matter how you scanned it, and he paid for it with his job. But in this brief moment, he coached a football game on ESPN. Maybe in front of maybe a few thousand people on TV. I don't think many people probably tuned in to watch that game probably after the first quarter when they said, what in the world is this? Is this like an inter-squad practice game or something with IMG because that team was so bad? But hey, you got to give him credit. He thought outside the box, right? He got his team on ESPN. The players can thank the coach. Thanks for getting me on TV, coach. We really appreciate it. Even though I can't play anymore because I got broken ribs and I'm fatigued out, like crazy because I played twice in 4 days.
And but there's a video clip of a kid. It's not funny. I mean, none of this is funny, right?
Come on, it's a little funny. Think about it. They took down ESPN. I mean, that is funny because I am not an ESPN guy anymore, right? I don't like what they've done there. But when you take down the big guy on TV like that and you scam him, there is something funny about that.
Yeah. I don't think they're even the big guy anymore.
No, they're not.
You had these guys that were calling the game, and they're like, injured on the field is number 54. Hey, Bob, do you know who number 54 is? I don't have him here in my sheets. I mean, literally, that is a recap, a replay of what was going on. But the good news, DVD, is that Yes, yes. It looks like Bishop Sycamore is looking to bring in one Cam Newton.
Wow.
If you've seen the memes out there, Cam Newton it may have already signed and committed to Bishop Sycamore because I've seen the meme full uniform. But the reason for that is that one Bill Belichick said, "Your services are no longer needed, Cam." I don't know, CBD. That's a tough one. Going with Mac tonight.
I'm not overly surprised that they cut Cam.
Right.
I guess they saw enough in training camp. I thought Cam is the insurance policy for Mac Jones. So let's say Mac Jones fell on his face, got hurt, fell on his face, can't grasp the playbook, just looked totally awful. Then you can go with Cam Newton. Hopefully, Mac Jones week over week improves on the, at practice, and then by week 9 or 10, maybe you turn the reins over to Mac Jones. But obviously, Bill saw enough in Mac Jones in his check down game in the preseason to say he's good enough to be the starter. But look, Cam is not the long-term solution there. If he was the long-term solution, let's face it, they probably would have draft Mac Jones. I mean, Cam Newton's only 31. Now, his body's probably a 37-year-old because he's taken all the hits, right? In the NFL,
True.
For years, let defenses hit him hard and not throw the flags when other quarterbacks get phantom hits to the head and they're throwing penalties. So I think his body is aged because the NFL never really protected him. And so his body is a little bit older. But if you take that away, and some people look at him, he's only 31. So if you got, in theory, most quarterbacks that are above average quarterbacks, and Cam has definitely been an above average quarterback for many years, maybe not the last couple of years due to injury, and last year it's kind of a weird offense they ran in New England. But compared to what you normally see, you look at Cam, you can say, you could probably get 5-6 more years out of Cam Newton if his body held up. But they drafted Mac, and it's they're turning over the reins to the new franchise quarterback in their eyes, and Cam had to go.
Yeah, I think I have a different take on Cam. You're absolutely spot on with the way the NFL handled him, right? Completely unfair, right? Just because he was bigger and stronger than the other quarterbacks that were out there, that did not mean that he could take more punishment, greater punishment than what his peers were taking. Right. And he was getting destroyed. Some of it his fault, right? Because he went to take on the tackle from time to time instead of sliding or going out of bounds. But there were other times where he's laying on the ground and they were just coming. Yeah. Right? They were just coming. And at the end of the day, what's it about, right? You try to take away the best asset. And he was the best asset in Carolina. When you look at it now, I look at somebody, has had shoulder problems. His body is breaking down. He never was a great accurate passer, right? He's lost his step. So now he could still get outside, but he's not like the Cam of before. So what am I looking at? And when you look around the league, most teams, we'll say over half the teams have a quarterback that they're vested in, right? Then you have those that don't have that yet have the young quarterback that they're really hoping can take it to the next level, right? Zach Wilson, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence. You can go down that list where there are guys that, they may not have made the make or break point yet, but they're going to get that time, right? Well,
Justin Fields. Don't forget about Justin
Fields. Yeah. Trey Lance, all of those guys. So then it only leaves you to maybe one or two teams that really are a viable option for him, right? It comes to mind Denver Broncos, right? Comes to mind Carolina Panthers, right? Where you came from, the team that let you go, and maybe the Las Vegas Raiders.
Well, you also have maybe the Washington football team. Ron Rivera is familiar with him, and a lot of the staff there in Washington are familiar with Cam. If you're looking for backup roles, you could look at the Dallas Cowboys as a viable backup to Dak. right? And from a backup perspective, if you're looking for that quality backup and you're willing to spend the extra money for that backup quarterback role, you're not going to get Cam Newton for $1 million. I don't think he did it last year or whatever. He was paid hardly anything last year. I don't think he's willing to do that 2 years in a row.
Well, and so very good point, and you kind of beat me to that. Last year, he had a roll of the dice. It was both Cam and Jameis that everybody thought would be the hot commodities coming out, and they weren't, right? And they went through the whole major part of free agency, and next thing you know, Cam is signing with the Patriots, to your point, on a $1 million deal, right? I just don't see that market out there for him. Maybe this is the humble pie, because I don't know what was before him last year, right? Whether teams said, "Hey, will you be the Andy Dalton?" Right? Will you help transition? And I don't know if that happened. He said no, that he was going to hold out. But now, when you look across the landscape, if you want to get a paycheck, if you still want to be in the league, yeah, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to do that for sure.
Well, it's interesting because I thought they signed him. Obviously, it's a non-guaranteed contract at some point, but I thought it was an $8 million deal for New England this year, right? So obviously, there's nothing guaranteed. They wouldn't cut him if it was guaranteed at $8 million. So maybe they paid him $1 million or $2 million, and the escape clause. It's an $8 million contract if you make the roster, guaranteed after week 1. If you don't make the team, you walk away with whatever roster bonuses or whatever you had, $1 to $2 million, and we part ways.
You're right, and oddly enough, maybe they did him a solid, right? Maybe they said, we will see what Mac tonight can do. I just I gotta love the Mac Jones back tonight, right? That's the McDonald's guy. But maybe they were like, let's see what he can do, and even if we do have some guaranteed racks in this contract, we're just going to go ahead and say thank you for what you did for us last year, almost going pro bono, and we'll throw you a little extra.
Yeah,
it really was the big shock.
Well, it's the big name, right? That's the big name that went down.
Big name, but not only was he the big name going into camp, he was the number one guy.
Yeah, but I think and I spent 3 weeks in the Boston area since July for work, right? And the feeling up there in New England is.
Did you go see the former house of your boy?
You know what I just did there right there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were there for 3 weeks. I figured you must have.
No.
Did you do an Airbnb at his house just to say?
Killing me, man. So, but I think the census that I got from the folks up there is that Cam was not going to be on the roster. So, now that it went down, there's not a shock at all up in New England that he's no longer there. So, it may be a shock for the rest of the country, but it's not a shock for the folks up there at all. I traded quite a bit of correspondence with people up there, and nobody's shocked at all that he's no longer there. So, but we'll see. Will he land in Dallas? Could he? I don't think he's going to Pittsburgh, but I've heard. What about the Steelers? I don't see him there. I could see Washington football team.
They got Dwayne Haskins as the backup.
Right. Why and he actually had a pretty good training camp, from what I understand.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. So, while we stay on the quarterback carousel, we have to talk about the next big name that's out there. That's Deshawn Watson. Now, everything's swirling in Houston and in Miami, and some other teams actually just pulled themselves out of it. They were like, nope, we want nothing to do. But Miami's a mess. Miami is a mess. Don't listen to my thoughts or my feelings on Tua, right? I'm not a Tua guy. I never was a Tua guy.
I hear you. I'm right with you.
And I don't think Flores handled Tua the right way last year.
Yeah, you did mention that a few times. I thought it was okay, but hindsight being 2020.
Now Fitzpatrick's gone, and you're going to have to step in and ride or die. You got to be my ride or die. To me, all of this should have been vetted last year, and maybe we would have had an answer what we were going to do this year. we being,
Sure.
if I was them.
Yeah, I know, because you're a Dolphins fan, like I said weeks ago.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
saying we, as in you are a Miami Dolphin fan. So,
Yeah, I mean,
it comes right
So
back at you. Mm-hmm.
yeah, now that I'm here in Florida, it gives me the opportunity to go down there, go to Dan Marino's house. We get to watch videotape
Yeah.
of the fake spike all the time. He has it on loop.
I know he does that. I knew he did it. I knew he did.
I figured, if you were going to try to draw me into there, let me just fire it right back. Come on
Missile.
in. Come on in. But, if what Flores should have done, really should have, if you're going to play Tua, you don't keep him pulling like a yo-yo, right? He did not learn that way. You don't, every quarterback tells you, I learned under fire, right?
I didn't go agree with you last year, because in the sense of winning games, when you're battling for 3 quarters and your quarterback is not the reason why you're in the game, and you have a veteran on the bench that can come in and rally the troops like he did. If I'm a player, I'm a veteran, I'm trying to get to the playoffs. I'm trying to maybe have a miracle going to the Super Bowl. So from that perspective, right, it would be a miracle because Fitzpatrick's never made the playoffs. Fool's gold, everybody knows it. And the Jets and Bills know about the fool's gold, right? So I didn't see an issue because you're trying to win a football game. But the flip side to that is 100,000% to your point. You don't know what you have because you never give them an opportunity to work through that to pull out the fourth quarter comeback. Because if you pull them in the start of the fourth quarter and Fitzpatrick comes in, throws the 2 touchdown passes, they win the game. Okay, but you don't know, could Tua have done that? So in that point, you're spot on there, because now you're in this situation, like you mentioned, like, is he my guy? Is he not my guy?
Well, according to the owner, he's not the guy, and he wants the guy that used to play at Clemson that is now down in Houston, and he wants him. Flores is like, no, Tua's my guy.
Well, he's your guy until he's not.
Right?
I mean,
fair.
Right, but at the end of the day,
Flores can't be like, man, Deshawn would look awfully good. Hey,
I mean, so of course he's going to say it. But really, at the end of the day, is Houston wants 3 1s and some 2s. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the Texans are so screwed. Like, you got to come down.
Sabres. It sounds just like my Buffalo Sabres and trading Jack Eichel. They want the full bounty. That's what they want. Give it all to me. And other teams are like, no. Either you ride or die with this guy in your bench, or you start bringing down the offer. See, everybody knows that their hands are tied. You can't ask for that much.
Yeah, but what's so silly is you're not going to play the guy. So you're literally going to have him on the bench or put him on some list that he can't play, and you're paying him his salary for what? So if Miami comes in and offers you back the number 1s that you traded to them with the Tunsil trade, you get that, you get those picks back.
So let's figure this out now. Think about this.
It's crazy, man. I tell you, I think I'm not a Texans fan.
Right? So the Texans are going to keep him on the active roster. He's not going to dress, right? But he's going to be on the active roster, meaning he's going to get paid.
Yes.
So his service time is the clock is ticking. There's nothing that stops that service time. So not only do you basically forfeit this salary by paying it to him as the Houston Texans, but also the time on the contract is going to go through and expire. So you're completely losing. You are lose in this, right? Because if some way that you were able to hold that contract from continuing to go, you would still have because he just signed the deal. You'd have greater time on that, right? You follow where I'm going with that?
I do, but I don't understand the service time, because even if you put him on the commissioner's exemption list, you don't pay him, but it doesn't halt the contract.
I thought the contract stayed at that.
No, see, if you go on the commissioner's list, you still get paid on the commissioner's list unless you're under a suspension. You just put him on the commissioner's list, and I believe that you can backfill the spot on the roster.
And that's another thing, true, because you're giving up a roster spot.
Right. But you have to be on the suspension list. Now what they're doing, he's still part of the 53. So
Right.
they're only carrying 50, 52, and now they have to carry an extra quarterback because you typically only keep 2 on the active roster anyway. But
Right.
I just the window. I don't see teams batten down the hatches here in week 3, 5, 7. Was it training deadline 8 or 9 this year? I don't know if they moved it back a week because now it's 17 weeks, 17
Yeah,
games.
they moved it because of my fantasy football team's bye week, and I have everybody on the same bye. So,
yeah, you and me both. I got 2 weeks that are lethal that way. And then with my luck, I'll be facing Jay, and that's how he's going to beat me twice this year is when I got all my players on the bye week. But in all seriousness, I just don't know what the Texans are doing. You're not planning on playing them. I think it was quite evident well before. I think who's the new coach there? David Culley?
Yep.
It just sounded like they weren't even going to play him no matter what because it was weird how he would do press conferences in the offseason. It's like almost like Watson. I don't know. It's just weird how he handled it. To me, if you get anything that's half decent for Watson, cut bait, make the trade because you got to move your franchise forward because you can't have this lingering. You make the trade, you're going to get questions for a couple of weeks, possibly a couple of weeks, and then it moves on. And then it's not that it's forgotten about that you had Deshawn Watson. But at the end of the day, you're not going to talk about a player that's no longer on the roster.
They're scared. That's what it boils down to. They're scared, and what they're afraid of is that when they let Deshaun go, that somehow all these charges just fade away and he's able to resume his career, and that when he resumes his career that he's going to have put up gaudy numbers and have this Hall of Fame career. That's what they're afraid of. Because if you weren't afraid, exactly what you said was, you know what, we draw a line in the sand, we cut bait. We realize this guy is not going to be part of our team going forward. We're not going to be able to get what we want, but we're going to get the most that we can get and be done. And be done with it. Don't have another article say Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson, right? You can see Deshaun Watson all you want, but put any other team in there and you guys move forward.
Okay. But this mess started with him saying, I am not coming back. So
even if, good point.
Right? So at the end of the day, he said, I'm not playing for you anymore. Right? I mean, think about it. They traded his best receiver. Right? DeAndre Hopkins is gone. Yep. They won't listen to him. They say we're going to listen to you. We want your input, and then they listen and then basically discard it. He says, "I'm never playing for you again." Now the whole scandal breaks. At the end of the day, whether the scandal happens or not, he doesn't want to play for him. So even if he came back and played, and he halved it. It doesn't help your franchise. The best thing, you're in the toilet. Okay. Your franchise is going down the toilet. You can't stop it. It started with your old coach who ruined the franchise. The GM and the coach, Bill O'Brien, ruined the franchise. Then your owner literally flushed it down the toilet because you asked for input and then you dismissed the quarterback who's the face of your franchise, who's arguably at that time was what, top 5, 7 players in the league? Well, and you dismiss him.
Not to Jay.
Right, yeah. So, but he was out, and now the scandal broke. You have to cut your ties, get what you can, and move on, and get the story moved away from your franchise so you can move forward. It's so ridiculous.
If you think about how we started the show, so much happens in like just a small off-season period of time, right? Everything's going on. I completely forgot that Deshaun said, I don't want to play here anymore. I completely forgot about that, right? That was less than 6 months ago. I don't want. I'm done. Don't want to play for you guys anymore. And then they hired Culley.
Yep.
which they thought, well, if we hire a black coach,
Right.
then Deshaun will be happy.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah, no, that didn't work for you. He still said, I don't want to play for you. And then the bombshell drops, and it just goes crazy. All of that in this short, condensed period of time, and I forgot all about it.
Because it has been a weird scenario over the last few months. I just think the Texans, one, you're alienating your fan base. I'm sure the fan base is pissed that Deshaun wants to leave, but I think they all understand why he wants to go. And although they don't want to see him play for another team, you can't move this franchise forward until you trade Deshaun Watson.
Bring back Romeo Crennel or Bill O'Brien.
Now selfishly, Romeo Crennel, great defensive coordinator, just can't be a head coach, right? And Bill O'Brien cannot be a GM, head coach, or anything in the NFL.
Team
Heck,
president.
He can't even do it in college. But
team president, videographer, gopher. He's the get back coach. Just bring him back as the get back coach.
To me, selfishly, I like Deshaun Watson right where he is. I don't want the Texans getting in the way of my Jets. I don't want him being traded to the Dolphins. I don't want him playing because he gets in the way, right? AFC team. So if that's the way the Texans want to handle it, that's fine by me.
What? In the way of what? Zach
Come on, baby. We're back, baby.
Zach Wilson's mom? Is that what we're talking about?
Come on, man. Why we gotta talk about his mom for? I mean, that's his mom, man. Some things are off limits. Come on. What are you, a New York shock jack, Craig Carton?
Isn't that what they're talking about up there?
They did that. The first interview with Zach Wilson, the poor guy, first introduction in New York, and this jerk goes on the radio and says, "Man, your mom is hot, man." Like, really? Dude, can we talk about football?
That was the guy that was part of the gambling scandal or something like that.
Yeah. Yes. I think he was selling tickets, illegal tickets.
Okay.
And Craig Carthon, he went to jail. He was on. He was with Boomer and Carthon. Yeah. He's a jerk.
But anyways, let's talk about your boy. Let's talk about the rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
All right. So we already know who the starters will be. Zach Wilson is one.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence is the other.
Yep.
Justin Fields should be in that list, and now they have him running the scout. Don't get that. That's your boy Nagy up there. I think Nagy's trying to get fired. You got Lance out in San Francisco.
Well, the question is it really Nagy or is it Ryan Pace running the show there when it comes to that?
True, because the way you hear things, it's Ryan Pace, but Nagy's not long. I mean, if we want to talk about the hot seat countdown, he's in the front.
Number one on
the list, no doubt. You got Lance out there with San Francisco, where obviously Garoppolo is going to be the starter, but I'm hearing that they're going to work Lance in there, which is probably the best way to do it, Brian Flores. You go with your starter and let the rookie come in there and get a taste.
Yeah.
And once you commit to the rookie, then you leave him in there, right? Who are we forgetting about? That's Mac Jones, right? So he's going to take the reins.
3 out of the 5 are starters.
Yeah. Only leaves Kyle Trask. And I thought Kyle Trask had a shot. Thought he had a shot.
Was that where do you pull out that name from? What team is he on?
Well, I thought your boy was going to take a seat. I thought he was going to sit down and say, you know what? I've played enough. Let me kind of mentor the next generation, Kyle Trask, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Your team.
No, your boy.
No, your team.
Your
team.
You're the one that stayed in his house, the Airbnb.
You rooted for them in the Super Bowl.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You didn't root for the Chiefs. You didn't root for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Yeah, buddy. You were rooting for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
No, I rooted for the Chiefs, but I picked the Buccaneers. I can't go against the conference.
We got to get our statistician. Where is he at?
We do need one. You know what? We're going to start taking applications for an intern. And there's no nepotism here, right? It's
No, not at all.
What was it with the smile?
When you said nepotism. So,
we're gonna look for the best qualified individual, but we have high requirements, right? Have to have a strong football analytical background. Have
Right.
to have a strong baseball analytical background. You have to have played travel baseball. You
Right.
had to have played tackle football for 1 year minimum.
Right.
You had to have played flag football for 2 years minimum. You
Right.
had to have lived in the state of Florida. You had to have lived in the state of Kansas so that you can have both the AFC and NFC.
Right.
You have to have all these things. You have to have some ties to the Buffalo Bills, obviously, and some ties to the New York Jets. If you meet all of that,
right. You know who you are.
if you can meet each and every one of those things, then please send us your resume and we will consider you. And however, Stevie D, if we somehow get more than one resume, then I'm done. I'm done. Because I think we've locked it in. So we'll see.
No, but I honestly, from a Jets perspective with Zach Wilson, I was you overly get geeked out when you draft a rookie quarterback. You always want to see how they do, and the differences over the last couple of Jets quarterbacks that were drafted, from Mark Sanchez to Sam Darnold to Zach Wilson. There's quite a bit of difference of what I've seen in those quarterbacks in the preseason, and everybody says, "Well, that's the preseason." But I think what Zach has shown is a pocket presence, an ability to read a defense, scan the field, throw quickly, make good decisions, rifle the ball in. So he showed arm strength. He showed vision down the field. He showed how to step and handle and taking a pop. He took several pops there and stayed in there and delivered strikes to his receivers. He led receivers multiple times with the football. I was telling my son, we were having a conversation. I said, one of the biggest difference that I see right off the bat from Sam to Zach is that when you're doing a swing pass or a check down to your running back, he's putting in the ball in a position for the receiver to run to the football to catch and run. Where, with Sanchez, I saw all the time in the NFL, and I saw it with Sam. You're throwing it behind receivers. You got to stop and catch the ball. You do that in the NFL, those linebackers, corners, they're coming up, and you turn what could have been a 6-yard pass play, and it could have been a 15-yard play with a rack of 10 yards, to catch the ball 5 yards, and bam, I'm down. So those little things that I've seen with Zach that I haven't seen. Now, how's that going to relate to week one when you're going live against number one defenses? It's just things that you've seen on a football field out of a young quarterback, and you're like, you know what? I don't know necessarily what it is, but he has it so far. But again,
Dude,
proof is when the season starts.
Way too early.
It is. But you know what? But you have quarterbacks that go through preseason games, and you're like, oh my God, they're terrible. Right? They're terrible.
Yeah.
Right? Terrible.
So
right?
Well, I would hope that the number 2 pick in the draft is not terrible.
Well,
but to anoint the number 2
pick, if you look at for right now, he shows, like, for me and all the other Jet quarterbacks that we've drafted, he's light years ahead of where Mark and Sam were. But after the preseason,
are you comparing apples to apples? Are you comparing preseason game to preseason game, or are you comparing preseason game to week 7 game where you're like, the butt fumble? Really? Are you kidding me?
That was how many years in the league when he had that butt fumble?
But what are we comparing?
Well, it's preseason for me. I can't. So most notably, Sam in the preseason was nowhere near the accuracy. I remember watching Sam in preseason when he was a rookie, and I'm like, he's overthrown receivers by a mile. It's not even close. Easy passes, and he's not even hitting them. And you look at Zach and how he's hitting his receivers, and he's on target and on the money. His completion percentage. What I want to do
for you, Stevie D, because you're my boy, right?
Right.
And ride or die, good or bad.
Right.
I just don't want you to get too high.
Oh, believe me, I've gotten too high all the time with the Jets, and it always comes crashing down. But that's how I go.
Too high yet. Now, everything that you've said, I would expect in a very limited contact, in a very confined, plus playing against, for the most part, he played against twos. right?
Green Bay was the only one. Yeah, because he only played
Green
2 or
Bay
3
didn't play
preseason games.
anybody.
Yeah, correct.
So
And he
maybe
lit him up. He lit him up.
it
I mean, it
gets
wasn't
twos
even
and some
close.
threes in there. So you kind of temper it from that perspective. What you can take solace, what you can look is that, you know what, he looks the part.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
He's doing everything to look the part. But we'll see, in a couple of weeks, we'll see. We'll know what's real.
That game's going to be a lot faster for him. There's no doubt about it. But I'm just saying what I've seen right now is totally different than I've seen in previous quarterbacks. And for me, there's hope there because I tell you, you've seen some of these preseason games with these quarterbacks, and you're just like, "Ooh, man, that's some ugly football." And he hasn't. And again, I don't know how much you watched.
Example. I'm going to give you one example.
Okay.
Right? Be careful. Nathan Peterman was a great, I mean great, training camp and preseason quarterback. Great. To the point where they actually, and you're laughing, they said
nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
You're going to start ahead of Josh. He was great, right? But we knew that soon as the real lights came on, right, all of a sudden he started to just wither.
What round was Nate Peterman?
I don't know, fifth,
sixth round. I think it's sixth round. I think it's a sixth round. A little
same,
different than the number overall too.
Same as your boy. Yeah, going that same path.
See that again?
Yeah.
It's a family show, so I can only do that.
Hopefully, you gave 5 stars for the Airbnb when you're in Massachusetts. That's the best you could do for your boy. You probably try to give 6, maybe 7 for the number of rings, right? Is that what you tried to do? Said, hey, can I call up my boy? He needs to get a couple extra stars. No, but in all fairness, I just don't want you to go too far too fast until happens.
Right? Well, it's like anything. Yeah, of course. How could you not be? And if you're not excited about the young quarterback on any team, then you're in a bunch of trouble. But again, what I've seen of what he played against, I mean, his completion percentage. I mean, we've seen guys go out there like Lawrence went out. His first game was horrible. His completion percentage was not good. We didn't see that out of Zach Wilson at all with his completion percentage in any of the games that he played in.
But is that a credit to Zach, or is that a credit to Robert Salah? Salah, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you say
Salah?
Salah. Is that a credit to Robert Salah for making sure that the game plan?
Sure, I think that's him. It's Mike LaFleur, right? And sure, I mean they ran pretty good behind him and they opened up the passings. But again, what makes a good quarterback? A good running back. Right, and you could take a lot of pressure off a young quarterback when you can run the football.
But if you look at Urban Meyer, what did Urban Meyer ask of Trevor Lawrence?
I don't even know what Urban Meyer's doing over there.
Let's move away from and move down to Jacksonville.
Yeah, I don't like being on the hot seat.
I try to be nice to you. I care about you, man. I want you to be
okay. You're just trying to keep the Jets down.
No.
Yeah, because you're afraid. You're afraid.
I just look back there and say, I don't even see you guys back there.
All right. You better hope and pray. No rookie quarterback takes you down. You better hope.
They say objects in the mirror are closer than they appear.
Let me tell you something. When you guys lose to the Jets, I'll be doing that week solo because you're going to be too afraid to come on to that show because you have everything to lose.
Are we still doing the show in 2048?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, player.
Let's look at Jacksonville. Yeah. Let's move it to Jacksonville. You got Trevor Lawrence, anointed the starting job when he was still in high school, right? Because coming out as he didn't play for Bishop Sycamore. He was at legit school in Georgia, goes to Clemson. Everybody, he's the real deal. Gets drafted number 1, right? And by way of making sure that there was nobody left on the roster to compete with him, right? Because they traded and cut everybody. He's your starter. I actually think I think he's a good quarterback, right? Just like I think Zach Wilson is a good quarterback. But to your point, it's what's around you. Trevor Lawrence has no offensive line, so it's going to be quick. But I think the weapons that he has, tough break losing ATN, right? Done for the year,
Yeah.
foot. That's tough. But they have good talent on that roster from a skill position. I think he'll do okay. I think he'll do okay. Um, you know, the rest of the team, the defense is up and down, and who knows what Urban Meyer. I think that's the wild card out of the whole thing is Urban Meyer, right? How does he control that team? But I like what I've seen from Lawrence, and I liked what I saw from last year. I mean, where you think about it, he went up against Alabama, which is better than the Lions, right? Better than some of the other teams in this league, and he competed. So, what's to say that he can't compete at the highest level?
Well, I worry about Trevor Lawrence. I do. I think Zach Wilson is in a better spot and a roster wise than Trevor Lawrence, and I think that on the offensive line of just protecting the quarterback first and foremost. So why do you think Look, there's a lot of things why rookie quarterbacks don't do well.
Mm-hmm.
But the offensive line is a big part of that, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the time and you're getting pounded, right? And I thought, personally speaking, what's the running back's name? You gave him the
ATN.
ATN. That was a luxury there at the end of the first round because you have Robertson. That's
He was supposed to go to the Bills.
ATN. Well, I'm just saying the Jaguars had Robertson. He had a really good rookie year. Unless Urban Meyer says that guy I don't want him or I don't believe in him. We're getting this guy or getting this guy to help Trevor Lawrence transition to the NFL to give him somebody he knows. But at the end of the day, you failed to address your weak line, and you had an opportunity to make an impact with a first rounder and help Trevor Lawrence on the offensive line. He didn't do that, and now the kid gets hurt. Now what do you got? You don't have him for the first year, and you have no O-line help. You can't predict injuries, but I just think you have this young guy. Urban Meyer's never coached in the NFL. Heck, I don't even know if he's been an assistant in the NFL.
Mm-mm.
So he's never really been around the speed of the game, play calling, all that stuff that goes into the NFL. Do you really command the respect of veteran players when you've only done college? You never did the NFL. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is in the best spot in Jacksonville to succeed. Now, if he succeeds, it's going to be one heck of a job by him because I don't believe in Urban Meyer. I don't like the roster. I definitely don't like that offensive line. I do like their running back, but
I think they have good wide receivers, and I think they have
who are their wide receivers?
They have decent wide receivers. You got Chark, you got Chanel. You got
Is
some
Mercedes Lewis still there? At least a tight end as a safety valve. Or is he not there? I don't know.
Nah. Okay. But I think that if you look at what they have, the problem to me is going to be obviously offensive line needs help, but is Urban Meyer, right? Urban Meyer's already, to your point, no experience in the NFL. And now you have the NFL cracking down on him based on his trimming down to 53. And, things you say and don't say, Urban, right? You could think it, you could do it, just don't say it, right? And he said, made a comment alluding to the fact of the vaccination rate played a part in the release of some of the guys. Personally, I don't know if I disagree with him, right?
Because you can't come out and say it.
Exactly. I need my team, which we'll talk about that in a minute, but I need my team able to play all 17 games. And as fragile as this virus is, even a vaccinated player could go down. Why increase the risk by having an unvaxxed player? Right. So, again, we could talk about that. Stevie D.
Tim Tebow. I'm just going to make the thing. Tim Tebow. Why bring in that distraction to cut him in training camp?
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed. Made no sense. No sense.
That's what I worry about. I not that I worry about it, but when you think about the Jaguars, if I'm a fan of the Jaguars, follow the Jaguars, whatever, what makes me think that this coaching staff can handle the NFL? Why would you bring in a 34-year-old tight end that's never played the position ever?
Yeah.
That's how you evaluate. Okay, they cut him. They cut him because it's the worst block that's ever been seen on TV. He has it on film.
No, it was a good block. Sometimes you don't have to pancake a guy in order for it to be a good block. As long as you get in the way and you divert the actions of
No, you can't even say that with a straight face. Come on now.
Maybe it
no. There is something about that redirecting somebody. Yeah, now, if it wasn't the third string linebacker out there that is slow to go chase after the play, if it was a number one running linebacker in the NFL, that guy would have turned around and made that tackle in 2 seconds.
Probably.
But I mean, that was the worst attempt. I mean, come on, Tim.
But
come on.
Think about how you leverage that later on in the game, right? You go do the same thing. The guy's going to run right around you, and now you're open in a drag. And you're wide open for that drag route, and you're catching, and you're cutting up field, and you're going 75 yards. It's when you're in the mind of Tim Tebow, you see things completely different than everybody else on the field.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, he does.
And in the stands, and on the sidelines, and the millions watching across the world.
But seriously, that's what I worry about. Like a kid like Trevor Lawrence, it's like this is what I got supporting me. I got a head coach that thinks Tim Tebow is going to come and be tight end.
I don't disagree. Talking about other coaches, Urban Meyer's hot seat, Matt Nagy hot seat. Now you mentioned Ryan Pace. Yeah, but the face of that goes to Matt.
They're both going at the same time, so it doesn't matter. If you fire your GM, your coach is gone.
Makes completely no sense, right? At the end of the day, first of all, Justin Fields should have been drafted number 2. Sorry, Stevie D. He should have been drafted number 2.
We're going to find out.
At worst, he should have been number 3. It should have been right.
Why got a dog Trey Lance for?
Well, I'm just saying. We're talking about, I mean, he's somebody that, if it wasn't for the hype of Trevor Lawrence, and even with the hype of Trevor Lawrence, there was talk, right? It just talk. Maybe it was pre-draft talk. I don't know. But he proved himself at Ohio State. He's got the tools.
He's an Ohio State quarterback. What has he proved?
He's got the tools. He's got everything that the new league is looking for. Right, the speed, the mobility.
That's a really good statement right there.
And how you keep falling, and now he's proven in the preseason, right, that the game is, according to him, the game is not that fast, right? And then they played the
Buffalo. The guy killed him. Oh my God! How the guy only got what, a $15,000 fine?
I mean, but that's
he decapitated the guy. That's why he's not starting. He probably can't even feel his neck yet.
But you learn from things like that, right? You get that out of the way. Maybe I don't say things like that out there so that things don't happen. But, he has shown that he can compete at that level, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to start Andy Dalton. Again, I go back to the question. This was the question for Brian Flores, and now it goes to Matt Nagy. Look yourself in the mirror and say, does my team stand a chance to go to the exhibition game at the end of the year? No. The Bears are not that good.
Right.
They are not that good. They are making strides to getting better, but they're not that good. If you make it, it's on pure luck, right? Congratulations, you had the dream miracle season. But that's not going to happen. So you drafted the guy 15, right? He has all the tools. You know he can be the franchise guy. Why are you starting Andy Dalton, a has-been, who doesn't possess any of the skill sets, meaning the offense has to be called and run completely different than when Justin Fields comes in there? And the only thing he provides is just backup leadership, and not even real leadership, because Justin Fields provided the leadership when he told the fans and the media, don't boo Andy Dalton, that he's just like me trying to earn a job.
Right.
He wears the Chicago Bear emblem on the side of his helmet.
That was very, very mature.
That's a leader.
Yeah, it is.
That's a leader. I don't hear any of the 31 other teams go out there and say that. They don't do that. So why is he sitting the bench?
Well, Andy Dalton played for the Cowboys last year. You had Ezekiel Elliott. You had Amari Cooper. You had CeeDee Lamb. I thought there was one other playmaker they had on the offensive side of the ball, but I maybe I'm off there. So I just mentioned 3 marquee players. He could not win. He was not even competitive when he was in the games. Yeah. Why would you think that you can bring him to Chicago? Now, I know why you brought him to Chicago. You didn't think you were getting Justin Fields where you were picking. I get it. You didn't think one of the top quarterbacks were going to be there. So you signed Andy Dalton prior to the draft. He's going to be our quarterback. You didn't think Justin Fields was going to be there. Okay, great. You get Justin Fields. Why would when you think of Matt Nagy's offense, it relies on mobility. He had Alex Smith, right? Mobile, they can move. Andy Dalton is anti that. So, and I'm not making fun of your, this is not a knock on Trubisky. Now, Trubisky was able to move in and around. It's not like he was a stiff in the pocket. But that's what Nagy's offense is. You got to be able to move. And Justin Fields fits that right off the bat. I'm confused by it. I got to be honest with you. I'm really confused by it. I don't understand how Andy Dalton could beat him out. There's no, unless Fields is hurt and they haven't disclosed anything, that he's not 100%, it makes no sense going with Andy Dalton. It makes none. And if I'm a Bears fan.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you. I do, because I read something where he's running the scout team, which really means that he's twice removed from.
Right. He's got to be hurt. There's got to be something there that is off. Because if why wouldn't he be the number 2?
Exactly.
So
you're not running scout.
Yeah.
It's
bizarre there in Chicago. I wish you would just come out and say it if he's hurt. I don't know what they're afraid of.
Well,
I don't know
if he's not hurt, then that should be the final nail in the coffin for Nagy.
Now the question is, what if Nagy is rallying for Fields and the GM says, "Look, I'm the GM here, and I'm telling you who you're playing. You may be the coach, but I'm telling you who's playing." And then what happens? Because either way, Nagy's done no matter what. Because if the Bears having a bad season. Let's say the Bears go 4-12. Oh no, let's go 4-13. Oof, I'm going to make that mistake a lot this year. 4-13, 5-12, 6-11. There's no way Ryan Pace survives. So that means your coach is gone. Nagy, you're tight. Only the Jets fire a GM and keep a head coach. Only the Jets do that. Around the NFL teams don't do that.
I could see Nagy going and Pace staying. I could see.
Yeah, if Pace is so loved by the owner, you could see that. But I'll tell you, I know New York can rebel against players and coaches. Chicago's a pretty darn big city, and I could see a big rebellion coming because they hate Ryan Pace over there. They hate him. So we'll see what happens. I think Fields is in by week 4. I'm going on a not a real big crazy limb. So. I think he's in by week 4.
Now, Trey Lance supposedly will be in by week 1. Not as the starter, but he'll be getting some game time. You know, if you think about the life of Jimmy G.
Dude, he's the man, though.
Porn stars.
I mean,
porn stars.
Come on. Dude, he's got that. He's Italian. You kidding? He's got the skin. He's got the face. It's a man. Jimmy G, baby.
But, if you look at Jimmy G hasn't done anything wrong. He really hasn't, right? He was drafted, and your boy kicked him out. I mean, that's Belichick wanted to keep him. And your boy was like, "Oh no, I don't want this young stud over here taking my spot." That's basically what happened.
Tom Brady didn't want somebody better looking at him. Come on, he didn't want his wife looking at him.
It very well.
That's what it was. Giselle. Ooh, Jimmy G. Yeah.
It very well could be. And so then he gets traded and takes his team to the Super Bowl. All right.
Robert Sala's defense takes that team to Super Bowl. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'd be easy on that one because Robert Sala's defense got lit up.
Well, he had visions of sugar plums dancing and coming out head coach. And
But no,
got away
seriously,
from it.
he took his team to the Super Bowl. He's played well. His biggest knock is that he's injury prone.
Yes,
right. That's the biggest knock.
But that's a huge thing. If you're a quarterback in the NFL and you can't be on the football field.
Sure. If you're not giving me 17 games or before 16 games, sure. But I look at this and I now all of a sudden here's this young guy who, Trey Lance has been raw, right?
They said that about Mahomes though, about being raw, but he sat for a year.
He was not raw.
That's what they said.
They say that, but he was not raw. He was the real deal coming out. And
well, I know that's why you guys traded away to get away from him, right?
Absolutely, because we realized that we were going to do a disservice to him, and so we looked out on behalf of Patrick Mahomes, and we took Tre'Davious White, which was the greatest thing in the world. Which we'll talk about the NFL 100 later on. Anyways, when I look at Lance, and I think about what he's doing, he just seems like the bigger body. Right, the more durable quarterback, likes to push the ball downfield. Right,
big arm.
Kind of reminds you of somebody that used to play that your boy unseated. Right, like a Jameis Winston. Right, big body, has a little mobility, likes to stretch it. Right. But I don't know. That's my comparison. Maybe right now, maybe it might be a little off. Hopefully, he doesn't remind you of a Cam Newton, right, with a big body and a big arm. But I think from an accuracy perspective, I think from just throwing a ball, I align him to Jameis, and I think he would fit a good style there in San Francisco. I just don't know when San Francisco is going to be ready to pull the plug. Jimmy G just doesn't get that overall love where, people are rallying around him. If he got the same love that Andy Dalton got, he'd be okay. Right?
Jimmy G's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Okay? He's in a lot of trouble. You don't make the trade. The 49ers don't make that big trade and move up to number 3 to have the guy sitting around. I mean, let's face it. Why would you do that? If you're in a win mode now, that number 3 pick gets you a huge playmaker somewhere.
Yeah.
You trade up to go get a quarterback. So to me, Jimmy G, it's not. If it's not week 1, it may be week 3. If it's not week 3, it could be week 4. It's going to happen. The change is going to happen. You just don't move up into a draft for number 3, unless Lance, their real goal is just to get him a play here, a play there. Let Garoppolo play. Maybe he has a good year, and then you trade him in the offseason while his stock is up high.
That's what I think it absolutely is. Okay. I think it's part of what now Kansas City let Mahomes sit until week 17.
Yeah, that's right.
Lance will get, he'll get the Taysom Hill type deal, right? He'll come in maybe, a 3rd and 6 or second and 8, And
I don't like that. Give him a series, give him a quarter, give him something. Don't bring him in midway through a drive. One, I think it doesn't work in the NFL. I don't like it when the Saints have done it. Other teams have done it when they try to bring in these I don't know what kind of quarterbacks you call them, the hybrid quarterback that can run, throw. To me, it doesn't work. It disrupts the offense. I'd rather give the guy a set of downs and let him run for a series. If you go 3 and out, you're done. If you go and get a 10-play drive and score a touchdown, you're still done for the day. Right, and then maybe the next game you get 2 series. Right, I don't believe in swapping out at 2nd or 3rd down myself, but he's going to play. He's going to get us some snaps.
It'll be interesting to see where
his first throw an 80-yard touchdown pass.
It was blown coverage, but he got it out there and legitimately threw the ball out there. I mean that was. Speaking of legitimately throwing the ball. Did you see the Josh Allen touchdown pass?
No.
The frozen rope. I mean, just uncorked. I think it was.
How much money does he make? Don't worry about that. I expect him to make that throw.
Yeah,
okay, with the money he makes.
You can expect it. He's delivering. All right, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
He's delivered.
We'll see what
Just
he'll
like
deliver.
he's now the spokesperson for Buffalo Wild Wings. He's delivered. My man is delivered. Plus, his girlfriend's hot. Oh, Josh, you're doing things right.
Well, we'll go find out.
You are doing things right. Keep eating your Wheaties and doing what you're doing. Because oh my goodness, I was, and we're going to talk about the ESPN NFL 100. As much as I give ESPN a lot of crap, right? The NFL 100, you got to be kidding me. That was the worst list possible.
Yeah.
Just on legitimacy of the list, and I'm not going to homerize this. How do you have a guy who's not playing in the league ahead of all the other guys who are playing in the league? It's not last year.
Look. Either way, because you're Buffalo, you're going to get the homer call. Here's what I'll say: I really didn't watch the NFL 100 because when I missed the first show, and I saw Tre'Davious White at number 91. No, less than that. Is he 91? Or I thought he was 94. I have it here.
I think it was 91.
He is number 94. 94. Okay. I said, I'm done with this list. Yeah. I honestly, that was my initial reaction when I saw it across a ticker on the NFL Network. I thought it was a mistake. I literally thought it was a mistake. And I actually kept the channel going. I thought I saw 94 because, it goes through and I saw James White and then I saw a 4 and I didn't see the 9 originally. And then it got to, I saw like Corey Davis at 91. I'm like,
oh, yeah, that's his name. Yep.
I'm like, how? That can't be right. And I stayed and watched it and wait for the ticker to come back around. And once I officially saw it, I said I was done with the list. I said it's a joke. And if this is by the players, it doesn't make any sense how he's number 94.
We're talking about the same guy who they said was top 5 defensive back or top 5 corner in the league, right? And only had a better season than what he's had previous.
Actually, I thought it was actually higher than the top 5. I thought they had him in the top 3 corners in the league. For some reason, they had your boy Gilmore at number 1.
All right, now those are fighting words.
Hey.
Those are fighting words. Whose stock has fallen?
Yeah, well, he's out now. He's on the IR.
Yep.
And but when I saw that, I was done. I mean, think about this. Think about this. He's next to Cole Beasley. Again, I'm not killing Cole Beasley, but you're saying White and Beasley are right next to each other in the top 100. Hold on. The fullback for the 49ers, I can't even pronounce his last name. Kyle Jesuit, whatever his name is.
You check.
You're telling me that White is only 2 players better than him? That's what they're saying.
I hear you.
I don't. I don't understand it. I don't.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
So
right?
I'm done with the list.
I'm not trying to be a homer to this. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, no.
However, ESPN, and not because they move trade day up, I'm not saying that, but you look at their list, and it seems like there's now the 4-letter network that we just absolutely obliterated in the first half. It actually looks like they put some time and thought to this one, right? I don't know who did their list. I don't know where they got it. Maybe they got it from the analyst. Maybe they chimed in with some of the players. I don't know. I just looked at the NFL's 100. I'm like, something is off there. Yeah. Something is way off. But Stevie D, I'd be remiss. I know we talked a little about made some statements about Josh Allen trade day. I do want to talk about my Bills.
Of course, we could not have a show without talking about your Buffalo Bills now.
Well, we spent half the show
talking about the Jets. You're just jealous. You're jealous about the Jets. But I thought you were comfortable with your own team. You didn't need to, talk about your Buffalo Bills.
Oh, all day, every day. We're international, baby. International. I tell you this.
I see one person in England wearing a Buffalo Bills shirt
all the time. But no, I'd be remiss. When I look at this preseason, each and every preseason now under McDermott, I have to first of all say I'm impressed with McDermott. right? I gave him a hard time. Oh yeah,
you did.
I did. I
You
gave him a hard time because I believe, and I still believe it. You come in saying trust the process. You're saying give me more than 3 years, right? Because Buffalo was notorious to running coaches after 2 to 3 years. And you're saying, look, if you trust this process, which each and every coach believed, if you trust my process, I'll get the right talent in here. I'll be able to get the right coaching staff, and we'll be able to build something, right? And he was afforded that opportunity, and you can see where they are now. I give him a lot of credit. I believe in what they're putting in the locker room, right? It's more than just finding grade A talent. You got to find guys that are high character players and guys that can really fit the mold. But here's where I have a problem when I look at this preseason. I have a problem with Cole Beasley and with Isaiah McKenzie. Those are the two that I have problems with.
McKenzie got vaccinated.
So let's talk about this. Beasley is the one that was very open and public about not being vaxxed, right? Yeah. And, he was outspoken when the NFL came out with the rules. Players Association agreed to it. And then he said, well, that's fine. I'll follow the rules, but I don't think it's right. That's what he said, right? McKenzie, you didn't hear a lot about McKenzie until it's been over a week now where we had a little bit of an outbreak, and McKenzie and Beasley and a few other players were sent home, right? Quarantine, sent home because there was contact tracing within a certain individual who had tested positive. And so then you're just like, wow, go figure, right? Beasley, right? Because you really weren't thinking about McKenzie, Gabriel Davis. You weren't thinking about those guys. It was just a go figure. But if you think about it, look at that. That's 3 of our top wide receivers that are gone, right? All from what could happen. Just imagine what can happen later on. And then as things start to come out, McKenzie comes out and talks about how he got fined and Cole Beasley got fined. And then more details come out, right? And here's where I have an issue with both McKenzie and with Beasley, is that they were fined because they were caught numerous times in the facility not wearing the mask, right? Your choice to not be vaccinated is your choice, right? We've talked about this. There are repercussions if you don't, but you're given the leeway that you don't have to be vaccinated, right?
Right.
But what ultimately can happen is that you could take down the franchise. You could take down the season. And these guys, the reason why they were fined is because they were told multiple times, and they were caught and identified multiple times in a short period of time that they were not wearing their mask.
Right.
So you're basically saying you don't care about the rules. You don't care about your teammates. You don't care about the organization. And I'm not getting into the spreading of the virus, but it's the adherence to the rules. You don't care about that. And to me, that is a defining moment for them to be fined and for the elements of the fine to come out, that I drew a line in the sand. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I don't want you on the team. They made the team. Good for them. But they better do what's right. Not like I'm judge, jury, and executioner, but in my mind, you better do what's right. Because, go ahead.
I was going to say, just where is the organization with that? So you had to know that he was walking around without a mask. Where is the organization putting the clamps down as soon as it happened? The first time it happened.
Don't know.
Why wouldn't you just suspend the guy? Right? On the second violation. The first violation, shit.
Maybe they should have stepped in. Maybe they should have stepped in and said, go home, stay home for a couple of days or whatever. I listened to McDermott's comments. His comments were kind of scathing if you read between the lines, right? He didn't call anybody out by name. He didn't call an incident out by name, but he called out the situation, right?
Okay.
That's going out. And, what's most important. And everybody agrees what's most important is the goal. We've talked about it. We understand what's most important, right? And all you ask is if you're going to commit to this team, you commit by signing on the line to say, I'm willing to play for this team for X amount of money. The team commits to you by saying, we're going to pay you this. The coach commits to you by saying, you've made this roster. So there's a commitment by everybody. Don't break that commitment, right? You got 52 other guys that are relying on you to do your job. Even if you're the 53rd man on the team, your job may be to make sure that the laces are out. Your job may be to go down and fire down on kickoff coverage and make sure that you keep them inside the 25. Maybe that's your job. Who knows what your job is, but you're out there to do so. You may need to be ready at a moment's notice to jump in. But when you're reckless and when you're doing things that could jeopardize not only yourself but others on the team, then you don't have that same commitment. You have got to go. I don't care how good you are. You could be the greatest player, but one player could take down the whole team. I wasn't happy with it. I was not happy with it. And Cole Beasley may have had significant contributions. He may, be a guy with great hands that can run those quick routes underneath and all that. That's all well and good. But, if something happens, you're not doing it from the sideline. You're not doing it as sitting at your house. And you're not doing it with 5 other guys sitting at home because you were reckless. And the same goes for McKenzie. And what's doubly worse with McKenzie is that he turns around the next day and he goes and gets the vaccine.
Well, you know what?
That is doubly worse.
But
just
no.
But
you know what? But see, but he woke up and got it. Maybe he needed a wake-up call for whatever reason. But he finally saw that he needed to do it.
Sorry. Can't do it for you.
You think he did it just so he wouldn't get cut?
I think he did it so he wouldn't get fined.
Well, he still got fined.
Yeah, but let that be the last time you hit me for 14-5.
Right.
And that's it. That's why he got it.
But he got it.
Yeah, but just
could have taken it down.
That's
okay.
It's doubly worse, right? Well, because you don't care about the organization. I don't need you.
And I need you. Yeah, but I think he should stay, and I think Cole Beasley should stay, and I'm
sure you do. I'm sure you do.
And it takes the whole team down.
Yeah, there we go.
So it's all good by me.
There we go. All right, Stevie D, what you got for us?
I got it, man. I got nothing else. I just, if it's a distraction and takes your team down, that's all good. I got no problem with it.
I think on our next show, we're going to have to talk about Madden 22 and talk about, being an overage gamer sitting in your basement playing. Is that where you are now, in the basement playing?
Yeah. Honestly, I think this is your first year that you have stopped playing, right? But to say that it's sad to say that I'm old enough, but I've played every version of Madden. And I just not played a game. I've literally played every version of Madden and gone through and done the seasons and all that. And it's a cool streak to still say that I have going on. I still think you're going to get it just to play the one game and keep your streak going. But, having Rich at the house, it makes it real easy to go get it because he's dreaming about it 6 months before it's released. Dad, you see all the new all enhancements? You can get this thing. You can yeah, but
the enhancements, they screwed up. Back when we were in our prime.
Yeah.
They didn't have this pup thing or mutt thing or whatever the thing is called. You just had the game and then you had
that's all I cared about. I'm not a big mutt guy.
Exactly. And so when he said enhancements, we were like, real crowd, real fingers, real visual.
this was their hands back in the day, right? There was no fingers. It was just hands. It's like clubs.
And that's all we wanted. Just
Yeah.
make it more realistic.
Yeah.
And now they've stopped in the development of the game itself, and they've gone into the development of this MUT thing. I could care less about this MUT thing.
Yeah. Well,
right?
it's a moneymaker, right? Because then you're buying packs to get all these cards and all that. So they've learned, just like the other companies in the world, go subscription based with everything. You'll make a ton of money, right? And here they put it all into MUT. And the graphics, again, you got the 4K graphics, and it looks really good. It looks very clean. But I think, I was watching something the other day, and I know we're quite long tonight, but we're making up for all those past weeks that we missed. But when you think of, would Coke be number one if Pepsi wasn't pushing them, and vice versa, right? So in order to be number one, you got to have somebody pushing you to keep innovating, right? Once they created the monopoly with EA Sports, and it was only Madden, and you got rid of 2K Sports, not because 2K Sports wanted to go away, but because they signed an exclusive deal with EA, you stopped having somebody pushing EA Sports to be better.
You're right.
So they do little tiny things, but they don't give you stuff that you're like, wow, like that whole wow factor. You just don't have it because you don't have somebody pushing them.
And you're 100% spot on, because remember 2K had inside the helmet?
Oh, I love that. 2K3. I think it was 2K3, 2003. I think we still have that game somewhere from an old version. We won't get rid of it. Yeah. I love being in the helmet. Yes, it was a little, you hit the guy and you kind of fall over, and it was really cool, right?
Well, to your point, that's when Madden was having all these different innovations. And when that was gone, that was it. So, I don't think I'm going to get there.
Come on.
I think that's it. I'm going to live vicariously, through you and through others out there. I'm not spending $80 on some video game that I'll play 5 times. Well, 17 times?
Because if we play, I'll whip you now.
Oh, you will. Sure.
It'll be the geriatric game.
Yeah. Get arthritis in my thumb. I can't get. I have to have some Tylenol sitting on the side.
Richard says to me the other day, he goes, I see you playing. He goes, I see you a little slow in the trigger there. He's like, you're getting too old to play this game, like making the pass. He goes, Dad, you waited too long to throw that ball. You needed to throw it now. No, it's not when the window was. He goes, but if you would have thrown it now, it would have been much easier. You hit this button, the guy goes down to the ground. It's an easy catch, touchdown, no problem. He goes, you waited too long to throw the ball. It's not even close. He goes, you don't want to play me. I said, oh, my God. Yeah, I'm old. Yeah, I don't want to play him. Heck no, I'm not playing him. No way. I'll get smoked now, which is sad to say.
Yeah. I know the last time I played him, I took it easy on him, and it was like a 1-point victory. I let him have it. Yeah, I wouldn't be letting him have anything. I'm just
There's so many different buttons now for jukes and all this stuff. He's like, Dad, you got to do this like this combo, and it makes this, and you're gone, dude. I'm lucky I can hit the button just to do the handoff before the time expires on the play. I mean, I'm not that bad. I'm exaggerating, but there's so many buttons, and he knows it all, and like it's nothing. And so to play him, oh my God, I would not be pretty. I keep coming up with the excuses. Nah, I got something to do. Maybe we'll play it in a couple of days.
Well, I'm telling
you. Then I ask him, hey, you want to play Madden? He's like, no, I got to do this thing for baseball. I'm like, all right, we'll catch you next time.
So when I make my way up there, I ask that you have my back. And when he says to play, be like, oh, me and Uncle Vince, we were planning to go somewhere. Don't throw me out there.
I'll take the power adapter and unplug it, and he'll be like, turn it on.
Leave it all good. Just be like, oh, we had to go do this. I had to get this ready for the show. And be like, oh, Richard, I would love to, but I gotta take care of this. I need some help. I do.
Well, it depends on how easy you take it on my Jets this year.
See, you already started with Zach Wilson, so
what do you mean I already started with Zach Wilson?
He better throw every pass that is perfect for a swing pass.
I'm just saying, I thought he looked good. That's all. I mean, I've seen a lot worse performances by the Jets quarterbacks in games, and you just like, and they never got it fixed throughout their career, whether it was preseason or regular season. They go behind.
Ray
And I'll tell you
Lucas,
one thing with Madden.
Ray Lucas threw a pretty ball.
Who? Ray Lucas.
Ray Lucas.
Wow, you busted out. Hey, don't be busting on Ray Lucas, right? The Jets were 2-6 when he took over in '99, and he got us back to respectability. We finished at 500. That was a tough year. That was the year Testaverde got hurt and his Achilles in week 1.
Yeah,
and we had Rick Meyer at court. It was bad.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
bad. Oh God, it was bad. But Parcells, he went to Ray Lucas, baby.
Here we go.
The tuna, baby. The tuna.
All right, tuna. Starkiss, Charlie. All right. So to all of our watchers, listeners out there, we certainly appreciate it. We apologize due to many things going on in life's day-to-day activities that kind of took us away from our regularly scheduled broadcast time. But we're back. We're back, baby. And we're going to be here through the duration of the NFL season. So we ask that you join us through the duration of the NFL season and beyond. Tell a friend, tell a family member. Say, you got to watch these guys. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Show some love. Give us some feedback. And anything you want us to talk about. Obviously, we're talking about the Bills. That's for sure. And somehow we're talking about the Jets over there. That's for sure. But, we could talk about your team that's out there, or, you can comment on our teams as well, or just the happenings in the NFL. We'd like to hear from you at Real OWSports Twitter handle. Check us out at Facebook, Instagram. Somehow, through the miracles of modern technology, Stevie D, we finally got those two linked, right? You got two non-social media guys doing social media. So who knows what you'll see out there, right? If you see birthday and kids pics out there, that's by accident, right? But we'll try to keep up with the latest content out there. But again, for all of our loyal followers and subscribers, we do say thank you and keep it up. And we enjoy doing what we do. We enjoy just talking sports, right? And really getting into it and getting after it. So we'll chop it up, as they say. But I've enjoyed this one, Stevie D.
Absolutely.
Glad to be back in the saddle. So for my co-host, Stevie D, I'm Vince, and we'll talk to you soon.